everyone's table, there we go. On everyone's table, there should be a small piece of paper about like this. And it has a place for your name, a candidate's name, and a question. So we got a couple of guys or a couple of people who are gonna review these and select one question for each of the candidates at the end of the forum. So if you have a question that you wanna write out, hold it up, we'll collect it, we'll review it, and we'll ask it. Any questions? We got a few more. I've put a couple on each table, one or two on each table, so if you need more, I've got a few more. I don't have pens. There's some back there. Okay, can you bring those up, Lindy? Okay. Does anybody miss this little booklet left at the last meeting, and it's looking for a home? Guess not. All right, the format will run like this. I have a question for each candidate. They'll have 2 minutes to answer. The other candidates will have a minute to respond. Then I'll have a second question, the same one for all the candidates. Then we'll do the questions from the meeting, and then they'll have 2 minutes at the end to respond and make a plea for your vote. Okay? You got the timer ready, Sue? Yep.
Who's the timer? Where's the timer?
She's the timer. She'll let me know when there's 30 seconds left, and then we'll go from there.
You're going to show, I think, like up in that one.
Yep. Cartwheel, yell, scream. Yeah. All right. The first question is for Chairman Brower. Is it okay if I know all you guys personally, is it okay if I use your first names instead of the Mr. Miss Business? Good. Jeff.
Yes.
He's our current county chair. A campaign statement on your website is years of overdevelopment are felt widespread, causing issues such as flooding, traffic, and polluted water. As Volusia County Chair, I see our communities as under development pressure to build in areas that never should be dredged, filled in, or paved. Mr. Brower, or Jeff, you made similar statements during your 2020 campaign. I heard you raise the same concern 2 years ago in the State of the County speech. Meanwhile, there are tens of thousands of apartments and condos being built on every major street in Volusia County, increasing traffic congestion with no apparent relief in sight, and very serious flooding in the same neighborhoods and communities, storm after storm after storm. You've had 4 years to improve all these issues, and yet they remain primary talking points on your website. How would you rate your first 4 years, and what will you do in the next 4 years differently to improve those areas of concern?
I would ask for more of your help. First 4 years, yeah, you know what? I've talked to several people in here tonight already about flooding issues that they have. It is still the major concern for Volusia County. The major concern for Volusia County, in my opinion, from what I see, is the rate at which we're growing and the places that we're growing. We have to change our development pattern, and I think that's what you're referring to. So why haven't I just single-handedly done away with all that? Why haven't I stopped all the flooding? It's because I have one vote on the council. Right now I have 3 votes to solve the problems that you have. Me and 2 other candidates. I need 1 more vote on that council to stop it, because no one person can do it by themselves. You have to get everybody together and be willing to stop this. So when I started bringing ideas up to actually stop it, there's a real simple one. What happens right now in Volusia County, and what has happened for a long, long time, is that a developer will buy a piece of property, and it's zoned for 1 house per 20 acres, 4 houses per acre, whatever it is. And then they go to the city council, they go to the county council, and they say, I want you to change my zoning here because I want to build apartments at 74 houses per acre, or whatever the number is. And then it goes to a vote, and it gets voted in every time. We can stop that at the next council meeting if we would just learn to say no more zoning changes. If you buy a piece of property, you have the private property rights to do with whatever it says. You don't have the right to change it, lift it up 5 feet, and flood out all your neighbors.
Do any candidates have a response to that?
1 minute.
Well, I got 1 minute, so I'll try to give you a real answer instead of just a soundbite, but I have to maintain this. The county is probably the biggest part of the problem when you consider that last year they issued 727 residential home permits. Only the city of Daytona Beach, of the 17 agencies that issued them, issued more. So we have to, the chairman's right, we have to change our focus, but it really does start with the county. And it is exploding just outside of our cities. And I have talked to many other mayors, not just mine, that have said, we need to be able to work better with the county instead of having county staff dictate to us to what our needs are. We have one of the largest failing roads. It's a county road right outside of here, Williamson. District 2 failing road. It's the only one, and it's Williamson. And here we are. There's no plans to change it. They want to expand it from Bevel a little way down. It just doesn't cut it. We're not addressing the issues the way we need to address them. And the county is as big a culprit as any. Thank you.
Does anybody else want to respond?
Sure. So I think when you talk about this problem, and we've talked about it for 4 years, and there's really no change, although the mayor would say that maybe it's increased, not gotten less. In order to get the number of votes that it's going to take to stick to the original land use plan, you've got to be able to build a team. You've got to be able to build a network. You've got to build consensus among the group to be able to say no. The chairman's right. One vote that says no is not enough. It's going to require more. So leadership is a result. Leadership will get you to a place where you can build that consensus and get people to think the same way. I would make a quick couple suggestions. One, if we can't continue to change the land use plan. Any amendment to the land use plan, and my suggestion, and I would do this the first day, would be to make it go from a simple majority to a supermajority. Instead of it being 4-3, it'd have to be 5-2. Okay, that's something that I would suggest. Sorry, okay, that it, or is that 30 seconds? That's it.
I like that last answer.
Okay, thank you.
So this election is not just a county council election, it's for the chair's election, right? And it is, Randy said it, it's about leadership. There's a reason it's the same conversation happening that happened in 2020. Leadership is the ability to bring an idea to the table and get buy-in from right now at least 3 of your other colleagues and make your case. Instead of saying, well, I can't work there, so let's run another slate and see what I do, because I need one more vote. No, you need leadership to work with your existing electeds, because a leader doesn't dictate who's going to be all the other electeds. You get to do that. Every district, every 5 districts, you choose your electeds that comes in that council, and whoever sits in that chair seat, because you don't get your way, doesn't mean that you run another slate, so you can get that one more vote. 4 years, there's a reason that this particular race has 4 of us in it, because it's all about leadership.
Thank you.
Do I get to respond to their responses?
30 seconds.
30 seconds real quick. Don, the reason that the county, if the county is ahead of Port Orange right now, is because you've already developed every square inch of Port Orange that can be developed. In a 5-2 vote, you can't just go in. There's rules to being county chair. There's rules to how elections are done. You can't just change it. And there was never been a slate to replace a current county council. Every county council had either turned out or left, and we were going to get a brand new council that you did have a vote for, and yeah, I picked people to back that would support what you want, and that slowdown of elections. So if you want to know how to change it, follow the money. That's all you need to do.
Thank you. I meant to mention earlier, I really appreciate and enjoy the cheers and all that. Throughout the rest of the evening, though, let's have cheers and not jeers, okay? Okay, the next question is for Don Burnett. Don, you've been mayor of Port Orange for 8 years, after serving as councilman and vice mayor for 6 years. I could ask you the same question that I asked Mr. Brower. Residents of Port Orange continue to struggle with new development, increasing traffic, and very serious flooding, especially along Spruce Creek and in some of the older neighborhoods. You've been in city leadership for 14 years, and those talking points continue to be campaign promises. How will being county chair help you make some real progress toward improving the lives of Volusia County residents?
I appreciate the question, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk about it, because this is the things that impact us. And in my time, we've actually slowed growth down quite a bit. The last 8 years, it's been less than 1% a year. It really hasn't grown that much, and we still got a little room to grow. The problem is that we do not approve things on our council where people are asking for more density. It's just not a thing. You don't, if you're coming to us for ask for exceptions, we just, and Drew Bastion's right here with me, Scott Stilter's here with me. I have served with them 10 years and 12 years, and we just don't do that. And when people are looking for exceptions, I'm like, well, what are you going to give me for who's here right now? And there's been a lot of times we've got traffic improvements, we've got infrastructure improvements as concessions, but increased density is not one of the things we've ever given away. It's been consistent through our planning commission, it's been consistent through our city council, and here we are right now. Do we have flooding concerns? Absolutely. We had the worst hurricane 2 years ago that we have ever seen. 24 inches of rain in 20 hours. And then we had water coming down the Nova Canal from areas in Daytona Beach, so we're handling our water, and then we're handling somebody else's too, because there's no outfalls. I was an advocate for that Army Corps study that Daytona Beach is doing. They're not going to have that ready till 2027. We need to continue to increase maintenance. There's 7 major projects that we're looking at in Port Orange. 2 of them are already underway, 5 are forthcoming, and we've been talking about that. We had a budget workshop last night about funding those things. So the improvements in actual maintenance are already in place. The projects are coming, and they are funded. We're going to be doing this.
Thank you. Any responses? Okay. We will go on to the next one. The next one is for Randy Dye. Randy, you're the only non-politician in the race.
Amen.
You're a successful businessman and have a long-time history of community involvement. One of the priorities listed on your website is quality of life. You mentioned the ECHO and the Volusia Forever programs. In De Leon Springs, there are over 41,000 septic tanks currently in use in the Blue Springs spring shed. The nitrogen is polluting the spring and leaching into the groundwater, the drinking water source for that area. This is also true in the other spring heads and watersheds throughout the county. We all want to maintain or improve our quality of life. How would you specifically work with the council to make that happen?
Well, I think you got a couple different things going on there. You're asking a specific question about De Leon Springs, and then I think maybe the larger question is the county overall with regard to quality of life. Is that a fair?
Right.
Okay. So, there's an area in De Leon Springs that's obviously been identified. It's the BMAP plan, and there's been a proposal to help the septic systems that are at risk, that have been identified to be at risk, to be converted to a more modern version, and that and some money available. Now the problem is this was done a while ago, and that we know what supply chain has done to the world, and the target keeps moving and it gets more and more expensive. Smaller lots, close together, is the current priority. I live in the unincorporated part of Volusia County. I have a septic tank. I have a well. I understand this, and it's important. Clean water is we don't have an option. Clean water is absolutely a critical part of what we do. So I believe in that program. I believe in trying to help in the beginning phase of getting that accomplished so that we can reduce pollution, we can guarantee clean water in that area, and the rest of the county deserves it as well. As far as quality of life, that really means that when we make decisions, the first thing we've got to do in the county council is to obey and abide by the law. But as we do that, when we make decisions, and this is what I mean by that on my website, is that if we can't honestly say that this will absolutely improve or at least not harm the quality of life of the Volusia County residents, we just don't do it.
Yeah, did you say Blue Springs or DeLeon Springs?
It was DeLeon Springs, but it was the
Okay.
Blue, DeLeon Springs and Blue Springs Springhead.
Okay, doesn't matter because it's happening to every one of our springs in Volusia County. They're pumping out polluted water, which means our aquifer is under stress and has problems. The reason I wanted to respond is because there's two things that need to happen. One is we're forcing people off of septic tanks onto sewer. Sewer's not a whole lot better. It dumps a lot of sewage into our rivers and waterways. But it's the necessary evil in low-lying areas. The problem with it is that when we force people off of their septic tank systems that are onto sewer, they lose their homes because there's a $30,000 price tag often. So we have to be aware. The other thing is, I went to Speaker Renner's office. I went to Tallahassee and talked to people there about how we can solve the septic tank problem. I brought them a company that can clean it up and something that everyone in here can afford. And Renner says, why aren't we doing that right now? I said, because the EPA won't let us help me get the permit, and he is.
Any other comments?
Okay. I just want to comment that this is a multi-pronged problem. When you're talking about water quality, it takes a universal approach. It takes all of us doing the right thing. In the city of Port Orange, we do treat 98% of the water. We have had an active septic to sewer system that has been affordable, and you find a way to do that for residents. They take advantage of it. They have jumped on board. As a practice, we dump exactly 0 gallons of water into the Halifax every day because of our reclaim system. It was a model system for years, and we've only expanded it in our 10,000 acres of preservation. Matter of fact, we have 20% of the land in preservation in this county owned by the city of Port Orange. Thank you.
So I think that the area you're talking about is in the Blue Spring watershed, and enforcing has been come from the state. The state has identified certain properties in Tallahassee that must hook up, and there's a several-year plan to do that. The county's not forcing it, it's a requirement. So what we have to do is work with the DEP, the EPA, like it or not. The state has legislated, sent it down to the county, said you've got to enforce it, take it in there. There has to be hookups, and they're setting a plan in order to do it. It's not the county saying you've got to do it, and it's not every property. There's certain sizes. But let's talk about septic to sewer. City of Oak Hill, several of you heard me talk about that. There's a plan down there we started 8-9 years ago to convert septic to sewer. Those septics were draining directly into the Indian River Lagoon. I toured that by boat with the mayor and several other electeds and somebody from the St. John River Water Management District. We worked on that. We converted it. Cost the citizens $0.
All-
30 seconds.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say basically what Deb said was that it's not a Volusia County mandate to go from septic to sewer. It's a state mandate. So to be clear, we're not the ones, the county council and the county government is not the ones that are making that happen. We need to go advocate for the people who have to do that when the time comes and make sure that there's enough money to make it happen and there's a way to get it done. But it's not something that's coming from your county council.
Thank your website didn't have any content about what your plans for the future are. I know you've been in the county different positions as volunteers or in the government. So you've been a school board member, county councilwoman, and have received many accolades as a community leader. In 2020, you ran against County Chair Jeff Brower, and you lost by several thousand votes. Many in this room and in Volusia County were surprised when you decided to run again this year. Please help us understand why you think the result will be different this time and what your plans are if you should get to the office.
Thank you so much. Yes, I filed late. I filed the last week of qualifying. I did. And I was asked longer than a year ago, Deb, you going to run again for the chair? And I said no. And I meant it at the time. Said, well, we're going to support, other candidates. Understand that. It's the arena. I understand how that works. I've been appointed by Governor DeSantis. I serve as a trustee, the Florida Communities Trust, responsible for the Florida Forever money that comes and we give grants around the state. Well, a couple meetings ago when I received my big notebook of grants from around the state, just under 34 million in applications, I looked for Volusia County. I looked for my county. I looked for my cities. I looked for our green groups. You know how many there were? 0. I got on the phone. What the heck? So we agreed to tax ourselves for Volusia Forever, right? And ECHO. We have built-in match. So these projects that we all want in conservation and these green projects, we shouldn't be paying dollar for dollar for them. We need to leverage that with the state and with these applications. So I've been meeting with multiple groups, many agencies, many organizations, and it was like, Deb, why don't you run again? Deb, we really wish you would run again. Finally, after a couple other conversations, and by the way, on my website, I received the 2020 Planning and Zoning Strategic Planning Award for quality planning and zoning within Volusia County in Florida. So it's a collaborative thing. I'm running because it's not a hashtag. I truly believe Volusia's best days are yet ahead. I can see it. My Rolodex is still deep. My relationships are strong. And we're all going to work to make sure Volusia's best days are yet ahead. And we're going to bring in the commercial industry overlay space zone that I helped implement when I was on council, because Brevard's coming north. That supply chain is coming north, ladies and gentlemen. It's right there. So I'm looking forward to bringing some high-paying jobs to Volusia County, and because Volusia's best days are yet ahead.
Thank you. Any response to Deb?
Yes.
I just want to say real quick, because she mentioned conservation of land. It's kind of interesting. I get criticized sometimes by a couple of council members that we've conserved so much land in Volusia. We've had a very successful program with Volusia Forever, and I'm proud of that, and I'm looking forward to doing more. Also wanted to say that back to sewer systems, because it's so important, the mayor of Edgewater called me and he said, we're dumping 30,000 gallons a day of partially treated effluent. And as chair of the Indian River Lagoon Council, I happen to know what's going on north of here as well. So I went to, the mayor didn't want to do that, so I took him to Sebastian and introduced him to the chair of the, or the director of the Indian River Lagoon Council, and we are currently helping him get funding to end that. He's got a great way to solve the sewage problem that's now just being dumped into the Indian River Lagoon. That's working together. That's using contacts that we have to solve one of the most critical problems that we have in Volusia County. And I'm proud of Mayor Diesel Depew for reaching out and saying, I need help doing this, let's get it done.
Okay, thank you. Any other?
I just want to add real quick that I know Deb came into the race late. I was the first candidate to file, and what that meant was I had a commitment to qualify by petition. I wasn't going to write that big check. I was going to have those 5,000 conversations it took to qualify by petition. Not everybody up here did that. Some of us didn't even come close. I did it with an all-volunteer workforce, all grassroots. I'm on the ballot, and I've done that through hard work. I believe in working 31 hours a day the way my dad taught me. If that's what gets me on the ballot, then it's up to you. I will do whatever it is that you guys tell me I want to do. But that's what got me on the ballot. I've done the hard work over a year. I didn't jump in at the last second.
Thank you.
So on behalf of the volunteers of my campaign, who have absolutely worked their tail off and went out and got something like 5,600 signatures on ballots that Lisa Lewis reduced to 4,300 in some odd number, I do want to say that we did the same, and thank you very much for all your hard work to make this happen.
Just want to be clear here. Really clear. We live in a representative democracy, right? We've got the right to vote for who we choose. There's not a time frame that says you're only a candidate if you get in here. And you're only a candidate if you qualify this way. And you're only a candidate if you've got all volunteers. And you're only a good candidate if you've got paid volunteers. You're looking at 4 people up here. Most of us, very strong leaders in our own right. Did I get in at the last minute? I did. Did I write my own check? I did. Is that a negative? It is not, because I am committed to the people of Volusia County, and because it was at the last minute, and I wrote my own check, I'm not making excuses for that. I understand the arena, and I'm here to serve because I see Volusia's best days are yet ahead. I'll put my money in my race to serve you.
Thank you. The next question is for everybody, the same question. And it's a question that I think everybody here wants an answer to. The next question, every citizen in this city and county is concerned about taxes. Many of us remember George H.W. Bush saying, "Read my lips, no new taxes." That didn't end up well for you. Please answer clearly and without political catchphrases how you plan to manage the budget and the cost of government, including taxes. And we'll start with Don.
Gee, I get to go first.
You just went through the budget.
Well, yeah. But one advantage I don't have in the city of Port Orange is the $43 million that the county raised on new construction last year. I think it's easy to say you're going to go to rollback and keep the rate the same when you're actually generating more money. And let's face it, we are in an economy, thank you Washington, that is not keeping costs under control. Port Orange has one of the top 20 safest cities in all of Florida, and we pay our officers well, and it does not cost the same as it did 10 years ago. Same with our firefighters, same with all of our employees, our public works employees. We had shortages of employees for a long time, and we have nearly every position filled now. We know we have to work within our means. My question is, and I'm going to finish this with a question. If you go to rollback and you've added $43.8 million to your budget by going to rollback with all the new construction going on in the county, what did you do with the money?
Deb, next.
So in here, has anybody's insurance gone up? Homeowner's insurance, right, car insurance? Yeah. So within Volusia County, you hear county, but what does that mean? We've got like 17 separate corporations within Volusia County, between our unions, our public protection, the libraries, everybody. Now take that increase, 6, 12, 18%, even more for some of and the existing union contracts. There are built-ins that the county is required to pay just to stay on board. Okay, talk about infrastructure, $43 million. Now, another thing that Volusia has done, because when I was on council, we paid off bonds early to be debt-free in our general fund. When I left council, it was a goal, and I hit it, and we hit it. The council, working collectively as leaders, went debt-free in our general fund by paying bonds off early and saving millions of dollars in interest. So they pay as you go, or we have a sinking fund. But to do 1 mile in Volusia County costs $5 million. So do we have an infrastructure problem? We do. Now you take that 43 million or 44, 48, whatever it is, divide that by 5 million, how many new roads? That's just single lane one way. That's not the water quality, that's not the infrastructure, that's not the sidewalk and all the requirements that go with it to have that done. So it's very complicated. I'm making no excuses, but it's a very complicated, big budget that I think is right, 1.3 billion. So there's multi facets with this, but I'm proud to say, as a fiscal conservative, when I left, the general fund was debt-free. So there's ways to do it, but it's a big ticket item, no getting around it.
Well, you know, taxes, nobody likes them. I grew up in Pennsylvania. We got a state income tax in addition to everything else. That was no fun. And we had a county tax. That was no fun. And I learned a hard lesson. Pennsylvania is not the place you want to be if you don't like taxes. So when it comes to taxes, really I look at it as budget. We have a responsibility, a fiscal responsibility, a fiduciary responsibility to manage the resources and the assets of the people. And I would go so far, if you let me borrow this term, stewardship, right? So I happen to be the chief financial officer of my church. That's a heavy responsibility because it's the people's money, and you learn all kinds of different ways. Churches aren't necessarily about making money; they're about doing ministry, right? So you gotta make sure you take care of the people's money. Same thing here. We have the people's money, we have the people's resources, that is our beautiful land, our beautiful beaches, all the things that are wonderful assets here. I believe we have to prioritize. It's no different, only on a much larger scale, than you having to decide what you're going to do in your own home budget. We have to make decisions that cover the core responsibility of government. And that means there's some tough decisions that might have to be made. But until we are sure that we're doing what the core responsibilities of government are, there's no way that we need to be doing some of these other things that are fun things, that might be exciting things. Deb just talked about how the roads, how the water, the infrastructure, we haven't met those yet. Matter of fact, we're not even close. So never ever look at a budget and cut the muscle, but I guarantee you there's some fat that we can cut and apply to the muscle.
Thank you. Taxes are one of the reasons that I decided to run. I just think we pay enough taxes already. We're paying 50% of our income when you put all the taxes together that we pay. So, in fact, I started the first Tea Party group in West Volusia when Obama ran for president and won. I'm pretty sure he's still president today. So we still have taxing problems. And so when the county council came around and said, we want to raise the sales tax by ½ cent, I also led the fight in Volusia County against that and said, I will not vote to raise any taxes, especially not the sales tax. But it passed, and after it passed, at the very next roundtable of elected officials meeting that came out, Deb Denny's and Don Burnett stood up and said, it should have passed, I want to put it back on the ballot the next election cycle, and Don said, but we need to wait till after the election and not do it for a ½ cent, but for a whole cent. The first thing I did when I got elected was to start reducing your tax burden in the budget. And so, do you know how I did it? We were successful. I did it because all of you, 200 people plus, came out to county council meetings and said we pay enough taxes now, and we went to rollback for you. This year, we've gone beyond rollback to where for the first time that I can remember, you will actually pay less, not just the same amount that you paid last year, but you pay less taxes, except that the county council has to vote for it. And at the first trim meeting that we had, when we vote for millage rates, I'm thinking everybody's on board. We're all Republicans. We're going to vote to lower taxes. And Deb's protege, Danny Robbins, says, I want to raise the millage rate to pay for roads. I want to pay for roads. We've never paid for roads out of the general fund. That costs your house. So I said, okay, you want to raise the millage rate? Let's cut something else. I'll vote for that if we'll cut something else anywhere. That didn't happen.
That was pretty good, except you're full of shit.
Keep it civil, please.
Please post the video, because what I said was that election should have never happened outside a normal election cycle. That was a big mistake. The people voted. Now, wait a second, you missed that meeting, but recently I was at an elected officials roundtable meeting as the appointed to transportation subcommittee, and the very first thing I said is the people have spoken. We need to look at transportation alternatives, but the half-cent sales tax is not an alternative because the people have spoken.
Well, I learned something tonight. I didn't know I had a protege. Somebody, Danny, with all apologies, he's his own man. If any of you know Danny Robbins, Danny is his own man, right? So I will probably text him and apologize, tell him what went down. Bottom line was, let's go back to that half-cent sales tax. The county did not pass a half-cent sales tax. Here's how the protocol works. Here's how it works. All 16 cities had to get together and agree. And they had to come up with their list of priorities for infrastructure and water quality that they wanted for their cities. And when we had agreement with all 16 cities, and I think you were at the Chamber of Commerce, you were chair of the Chamber at the time, the Daytona Chamber even came in and supported it. What the county agreed to was to put the initiative on the ballot. We didn't say vote yes, we didn't say no. What we said, we're going to give you a chance to vote. That's the truth. And I agree with your French.
Any other comments to wrap this up? 30 seconds.
Yeah, actually, did you? Go ahead.
I was just going to say that actually the county did promote it really hard. They did town halls all over the county saying that we need this to vote for the tax increase. So the county was pretty hard behind it.
Quite simply, I think maybe answer this question much more directly. This is with all the extra pressure on our community, inflation, all the things that cost us much more money. I'm going to tell you right now that I absolutely do not favor a tax increase, period. And especially until you examine, you got to know where the money is and where the money's going and how it's being used. And I would love to say to you that I know where every line item is right this minute. I haven't sat in the office, so I don't know where every line item is right now. But I know this, and I know my own ability that I'll be able to find some money. And we've got to be careful. We can say we got to make sure again that our priorities are the core government responsibilities, and we're not getting that done. And we've got to allocate the money there. Thank you.
Thank you all for a lively discussion. Now the questions from the group, and I appreciate we had a ton of people turn in questions, so I went through and tried to get a good one for each candidate.
You're getting pretty good already.
Yeah.
Okay, the first one is for Deb. What can we do to take away so much power from insurance companies mandating what they will or what they want from roads replaced too early, or replacing water heaters that are still good? So whatever something about what can we do to manage or the insurance companies' demands, if anything.
Good question. I have no authority. No authority, that's done and all passed it in Tallahassee. No authority there, but I can can I text a friend, call a friend, I can call my protege, maybe I can have him
If we
text
split the money.
Tallahassee finally.
If we split the money, is that okay?
I would, if I had that answer, we would do it. We would absolutely, I'm sorry, my friends, but that's a Tallahassee answer.
Okay, thank you. This one is for Randy. Wilbur and Ponce Inlet face a potential severe erosion of A1A due to the storm surge from a hurricane. What can the council do to fix this potential catastrophe due to no pre-planning?
So, you know, I guess the first thing you gotta do is when you start talking and throwing those kinds of things around, you better have the data to support it. And it's not the expert of your choice. It's an objective expert in these types of matters. So quite frankly, I think we have to treat beach erosion and protect our beach. Make sure that it's there forever. Make sure that we have good roads. Make sure that the roads, the infrastructure. If we're going to go down and look at Ponce Inlet, we need to look at more places besides that, and make sure while we're at it, let's make sure we look at the whole doggone thing so that we don't have a problem. We fix this problem, but we don't fix that problem. So my answer is, look, that's a little bit of it's certainly a political charged issue right now. But I'm more about the business of this, and I would suggest that while we're there, let's look at it in its entirety and figure out, is it solid or is it? I'm a data person. You don't do this just based on how your gut feels or how your heart feels or how it's going to serve the political process. Show me the data. We'll make a decision to get it fixed.
The next question is for Jeff. Are you going to help bring jobs to the county? If so, how do we make sure that we have an appropriate infrastructure to handle the increased population?
Yeah, the best way to bring jobs to Volusia County is to keep us a vibrant community and make us a place where people want to live and come and work and play. When I first got elected, we had our typical way of bringing new jobs here was in the economic development division. We had about $8 million, and we would send money to out-of-town businesses to come here and work. I called it bribery. I said, this is just not fair. We're taxing other businesses, we're taxing all of you to bring in an outside business, maybe to compete with the businesses that we took taxes from. So I talked to the economic development department and said, there's a better way to do this. We need to help our own local businesses. We need to help them, if it's with marketing, whatever it is, to help them raise their customer level and improve their businesses. The very best way is through improving infrastructure, the roads in front of their business, the water quality that they drink, building vibrant downtowns so that there's things to do for employees. Is that the end or 5 seconds? Now 5 seconds is gone. So whatever we do, we need to do it for all of our local businesses to improve our environment, so then we can bring other businesses in and have.
Thank you. This one's for Don. What's the timeline on dredging Spruce Creek trestles? We've been waiting for about 5 years.
You've been waiting longer than that. And that actually, to be honest with you, I'm not sure because that lies outside of the jurisdiction of the city of Port Orange, but we've been a strong advocate for it. And my understanding is that we're going to have some good news coming soon. Spruce Creek is an outstanding waterway. It was designated as such. It's also endangered. And what the question is referring to is that railroad trestle blocks the flow. There's a ton of debris that has accumulated through maintenance over the years by the Florida East Coast Railway, and it blocks and impedes the flow of natural flow of water. And it's actually a navigation hazard there at Spruce Creek as well. So we have lent our voice to the larger effort to improve that, because that is going to go a long way to improving both the safety and the quality of the water on Spruce Creek.
Thank you. Well, thank you candidates for a really good roundtable, really good forum. I appreciate it. We had some great comments, some great follow-up comments. So at this point, the forum is over. Thank you again. And I'm going to bring Paul Deering up to make a few comments.
Oh, we're gonna, I thought we had to close.
I'm sorry. No, not yet. It's closed. I'm jumping ahead. Okay, we're going to close. Randy is first this time. We went down the table. He's got first. We'll come back to Jeff and go down.
Okay, so quickly, economic development, good paying jobs has to start with a good positive attitude. You know, if you're gonna go find a restaurant, you're gonna go someplace that says, hey, the food's okay, or the food's not good. Or you go to Giuseppe's where the food's phenomenal, right? That's what you do, right? So you gotta start with Volusia County is a wonderful place to work, a wonderful place to live, a wonderful place to raise a family. That's where we gotta start. We can't constantly talk about how bad it is. I am on the Team Volusia, which is a Volusia County Economic Development arm, and I pay, by the way, I have skin in the game, to be on the executive committee, okay? And I know what these people look for. And they look for safe communities. They look for a community that focuses on education. I want to say to you that one of my top priorities is public safety. I'm endorsed by the current sheriff, Chitwood. I'm endorsed by the past sheriff, Ben Johnson. I'm endorsed by the district attorney, R.J. Larissa, the assistant district attorney, John Reed, and I just recently received the endorsement of the deputies union in Volusia County. That's important, but they're not going to come to a place where we talk about how bad it is. So I want to say the other thing I'm going to tell you, if you choose to elect me, and I'm talking about the same doggone thing 4 years down the road that I'm talking about today, you won't have to worry about electing me because I won't seek your vote again.
Thank you all for coming out tonight. This is one of the best crowds we've had in one of our forums. I want to end by talking about Ponce Inlet a little bit because I think it's a good example of working together with other cities. I told you about working with Diesel Depew in Edgewater on a critical problem. Some of you know I worked on the beach as a kid. I worked 10 years, so it's really important to me. The county has started a comprehensive beach study program. Now, everybody knows what it means when government studies something. This one really needs to be done, but it's going to take a long time and a lot of money. I did get a call from an engineer that I didn't know. It wasn't somebody that I chose. He was an environmental and structural and civil engineer in Ponce Inlet that called me and said, you got a real problem here in Wilbur by the Sea. We've got about 70 to 80 feet of sand before A1A, completely unprotected. And it's going to take A1A out on our very first storm. So I went and met with him and met with some residents there. And then we went to the city of, I'm pointing over here because we got a commissioner here, the city of Ponce Inlet. I talked to the mayor, so would you please put me on your agenda so we can come and talk. We went and talked and made a presentation with all the data, with all the weather information, and showed them that you're in danger here, not just Ponce Inlet, Wilbur by the Sea, but yes, other beach communities, and I've contacted them as well, but you gotta start somewhere. And so we do need to protect. It's been 2 years since the hurricanes, and the EPA is still telling us, you can't armor your beach. I want that changed. So I want to get all the cities together and go to the EPA, go to Tallahassee and say, look, we need local control. We know better than you do when our beaches are in danger of serious, serious problems. And so that's what I'm doing right now with the other cities. My name is Jeff Brower. I'm running to be your Volusia County Chair. Yeah, once again, and I wish I had a magic wand and everything I want to do, I could do the first day, but it's going to take hard work and the input of people like you that come to council meetings and send emails and say, we need this done.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having us this evening. I think these kind of forums are very important. I think it's great when you can get all of us on stage at the same time, and that's when you can really compare and see where in your heart you lie with us. I was born and raised in Volusia County, and my dad taught me a long time ago, nobody does anything big alone. You just don't. It takes a team, it takes people working together, and I learned on my own city council, I don't always get what I want. I serve with 5 type A personalities. But if we have the right conversation and it's managed the right way, at the end of the day, the people get what they need. And that's really what I want. Our problem on the beach has existed for decades. The 6.6 million cubic yards of sand, the tipping point was the hurricanes of 2 years ago. That sand has been disappearing for decades. This is a long time problem. We've needed to renourish a long time ago. Public safety is important. We have an ambulance system in this county that nobody's talking about it that's broken. How can you increase population without increasing coverage? 2 months ago, we were down 19 ambulance people. That's not good. We have the same 19 units that run every day. They used to all be advanced life support. They were ALS. 5 of those typically now run BLS, and if the county has to, they run somebody out there to meet that unit on an emergency call. And the problem I see, I know it within my own city. We have invested in an ambulance ourselves because the coverage isn't right. And we've had to cover calls in Ponce Inlet because Ponce Inlet's ambulance was sent to Ormond Beach for a call. We've covered calls in Ormond Beach. We've gone to Orange City. So this is not just a problem in covering Port Orange. We're about to add a 2nd unit. How can we grow in population and yet shrink that system? That is going to be #1 topic for me the first day I'm elected. It has to be fixed. It can't wait any longer.
Folks, I'm Deb Denny's. I appreciate you listening to all of us. This was some good conversation up here. I want to go back to just something. When I was on council, there was a city commissioner from DeBerry. She's sitting back there. She called me. She said, Deb, we got a problem in DeBerry. Got a developer that wants to come in and develop this land, and we have no policy. How can I protect it in the city? I said, I don't know, but let me get staff. I called county staff. She came over. County staff met with you. She helped set a policy for DeBerry, and if I'm correct, that land still is not developed as of today. So that's what leaders do. We work with staff. We don't grandstand. Most of you didn't even know that, because a lot of what we do, if you do it right, you don't know about it. You do it behind the scenes. You work collaboratively. I'm Deb Denny's, and I truly believe our best days are yet ahead. And again, there's a reason there's 4 of us in this seat running to be the next Volusia County Chair. So I hope you consider Deb Denny's for Volusia County. And thank you, and I'm going to go check on my protege. I don't know what he's doing yet tonight, but looks like I got some work to do. So thanks for all coming. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you again to all you guys, and I like what Deb said. This was a great conversation. So now I'll bring Paul up.
Well, I did. I was just coming over to shake your hand, but you got Paul up here, so.
All right.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll be brief, how's that?
No, you won't.
Yeah, well, maybe not.
We know
As a
better.
crowd, I get this story. First of all, let's give all of all 4 of our candidates up here a big They did a great job in helping us to understand who they are and where they are and why they are in the positions that they take. I think that's really important. Somebody had mentioned to me earlier that they had felt that, or had heard a rumor that the REC is suing somebody. Just so that you all know, the Republican Executive Committee of Volusia County is